Hey YouTube, I've been seeing a lot of videos on here where people been converting their Harbor Freight motorcycle lifts into lawnmower lifts. I did mine a while back, and I thought I might go over some of the tricks here some of the problems you get into when you start to do this. First thing that I did is I set my lift up on sawhorses so I'm old and can't get around too good, but it helped me a lot to be able to reach everything. I took the deck off, took the deck part of it off. It's not that big a deal to take off, but I wanted to do that because when you get your jack in place, you need to be able to work this piece here, this arm here, back and forth to get your range, the distance, to know exactly how far you need to recess this cup back right here. This cup, the cup that came on this was sitting out in the front of this flange part right here, and it was not big enough diameter to fit on this shaft. So first thing you need to do is measure the shaft and find a piece of pipe that fits snug over this shaft. I found a piece that was too big and notched the side out of it and clamped it down to make it fit, but it would have been easier if I'd have found the right size piece of pipe to start with. But that would be one of the first things you need to do. I ordered a piece of plate steel off of eBay. I believe I ordered a 8 by 12 inch by 1/4 inch piece of plate steel and had enough to do 2 of these lifts. We did mine and a friend of mine. But I cut this piece out. I welded 2 little tabs in under here just for support, just to hold the jack in place. Then I cut these tabs out and located, got everything where it needed to be, and welded these tabs on here. Before I started mine, I've seen some where people would put the jack in and it would be down too low, and they would have to raise the wheels up on the front of the lift. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's not knocking the way anybody did theirs, but I didn't want to do mine like that. I laid a board in under my jack before I even started trying to mock it up, and held it up 3/4 inch, I believe, up off the plywood that I had laying under here, and then that way I was able to let this down and see that it was not hitting, and also it was up off the floor too. There's not a whole lot of room to play with there, but anyway, like I said, I put my jack here. I wanted to set this cup back far enough so when the jack was all the way out, it would have the lift all the way up. That way it wouldn't be any danger in the jack overextending and breaking the lift part, messing something up that way. But that jack there came from Harbor Freight. I believe it was $79, something like that. And it's plenty strong enough. I added just a little bit of extra oil to it since I was going to be using it in a vertical position. But this piece here was it was a nightmare to figure this out and get this working. I had a couple of old cheap swivel sockets that I cut in half and welded a piece of pipe in there. And I know that looks terrible, but it works. It works. So I'm sure there would have been a better way to do that. But anyway, this pedal, once I got it, this is what lets it down. This pedal was too long, but when I extended when I extended the table out here, it would hit the pedal. So I cut this pedal off about 3 or 4 inches and welded this back to it to make it so it would be under the table there when I got it all put together. I run my air hose. I just put a little 2-hole clamp and under the rail there, and run my air hose out there, so I wouldn't run over it if I moving the table around. But the control for the jack, I've got it mounted in my air hose. I've got my air line hanging from the ceiling, and that way it's got it out of the way. It works better for me like that. If you leave it on the end of your hose that comes out of the jack, then there's really nowhere to hang it here, so it'll be out of the way. Every time when I would come on the table with a lawnmower, it would hang it, or it would fall down, whatever. So I just took the control off and moved it right there. It's hanging off to the side there, out of the way. But that's like I said, this is 1/4 inch plate steel. This jack came with these big springs on the side of it to retract the jack, collapse the round back in. But with this unit, the weight of the lift is plenty enough to push the jack back in. I didn't need those springs, so I drilled my holes through the plate here and used these little hooks just for bolts. And I didn't tighten that up too awfully tight right there, because this is cast iron right here, and I'm sure it would break pretty easy. But I just got it snugged up right there, and I've been using it for a year and a half or something like that, and I used it a lot, and it hadn't given any trouble. Anyway, I'll go over my ramp and stuff here in a minute. This lift came with this little red ramp right here, and with the motorcycle attachments with it. And I still got all that stuff. I can change this thing back to a motorcycle lift if I want to. If you use this lift that comes with it is too short to use for a lawnmower. It makes it so steep when you go over it that the deck will drag when you start up on the lift with it. So I made my ramp out of angle iron and plywood. It basically the same principle as the ones that come with it. I bolted this piece of angle iron to the end of the lift. I just wanted to bolt it and not weld it, so if I ever needed to change it back, I can take it off and change it back, and then welded this piece of rebar onto that, and then I just made 2 little hooks there for my ramp, and it goes up and down just like the one that come with it. It goes up and down with the table when you raise it and lower it. You would think as many people as there are that are converting these things to lawnmower lifts, that Harbor Freight would take the hint and will go ahead and sell them with a wider deck. If the deck was like a foot wider, 6 inches on each side wider, it'd be fine. And with a little bit longer ramp on it, they could short sell a lot of them, I guess. But anyway, maybe they'll see this video and get an idea. But my buddy, when he fixed his, he bolted little pieces of 1-inch angle iron in under the floor there, and then laid a 1x6 to widen his deck out, and it looks a whole lot better than my way I've got mine. But I just lay a piece of, I got a piece of half-inch plywood that I lay on mine. I've been using it like that. I've had this one and had it converted for about 6 years, and I've been using that piece of plywood the whole time, just laying on there. You just have to kind of keep an eye on it and keep it centered, but it's never give any trouble. You just have to fix it however you want when you start doing it, I guess. But anyway, that's about it. Well, I'll go ahead while I'm at this and talk about my little cheap Harbor Freight winch that I put up in here in my shop. I didn't want to lift on my trusses. I didn't want to put any weight on my trusses, so I put my post in here. So when I've got the post standing up, all the weight is on the post. There's nothing on the trusses, and so it won't be in the way all the time. When I'm not using the hoist, which is about 99.9% of the time, I just swing the post over and hook it to the winch and pick the post up and it's up out of the way. I made those two little trolleys up there, cut them out of a piece of 1/4 inch steel, and put the little bearings rollers in it, so it'll slide back and forth. I've got a 12-foot beam there, and I can pick anything up off my lift table or whatever, and I can pull a lawnmower deck out and hold and swing it around, get it up out of the way. If I'm working on a lawnmower deck on my lift, I can hold it up or twist it around any way I need to. I got a little safety chain right there that's on a roller that I can roll over if I want to pick up the front end of a lawnmower, get under it or whatever. I got a little bit of a little safety, little assurance there. Not that I don't trust my work or anything, but you know how it is. So anyway.